Guys, it's Steve. So Derrick Rose announced that he wants to come back to the Cleveland Cavaliers. It's all over Bleacher Report. It's all over a whole bunch of media outlets, whatever. It doesn't mean it's true. If you don't know what I'm referring to, I'm obviously making a joke, but we're not going to get into politics. That's beside the point. So Derrick Rose wants to come back to the Cleveland Cavaliers, and to me it's like, why did you even want to leave in the first place? I mean, I can kind of understand his point of view, sort of like Gilbert Arenas and Tracy McGrady, because, like, first of all, Gilbert kind of destroyed his career with the gun incident, but it's not just that. Like, for example, Gilbert Arenas, when I think he injured his back, and you know, the crazy thing is that I had tickets to see him in his prime, but he had that back injury. I think it was the same season he had that gun incident, or like the season before it. But anyway, that's besides the point. Like Gilbert and T-Mac, you get injured, you go from being a star player, one of the top players in the league, the man on your team, to coming off the bench and stuff like that. So I can understand his point of view where he's like, do I really even love basketball anymore? Do I even need this? I mean, I have enough to be set forever. I have enough to, do what I need to do. And it's like, do I even need to go through the annoyance of never being home and traveling all the time? And, it seems like a luxurious lifestyle. It seems like it's all fun and games. But just think about this. And even some NBA rookies have came out and said how boring it is. Think about it from the perspective of, you have a family, you have kids, but you have a lot of money, but you can never really do anything with it for unless for like 2 months out of the year, because the rest of the year you're playing ball. And even in those 2 months, you can't even do much with it because you got to travel and you got to work out and train and maintain your body. Because think about it. You go from city to city, airplane ride to airplane ride. You're constantly in planes. You're constantly in hotel rooms. You can't really go outside without security, and you really can't go outside in general and do anything, So, I mean, it's a fun lifestyle, but it can get boring. So I can understand Derrick Rose's point of view, but at the same time, I'm like, D-Rose, you're a great player, and he might still be able to make the Hall of Fame, maybe, because he has the MVP, if he can win a championship. But that's the thing, like, if he stays on this Cleveland Cavalier team, this Cavs team is good enough to win an NBA championship. Because if you think about it, this is the most help LeBron James has ever had in his entire life. This is the most help he's ever had. He has Derrick Rose, Dwayne Wade. First of all, let's talk about their bench, which is absolutely ridiculous. He has Derrick Rose, Dwayne Wade, Jay Crowder, okay? And people talk about the slow start this team had. The reason why they had a slow start is because their starting lineup was the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. Their starting lineup to start off the season, I believe it was Derrick Rose, Dwayne Wade, LeBron, Jay Crowder, and Kevin Love. That doesn't make sense. Too many perimeter defenders. Derrick Rose is a good defender. Dwayne Wade is a good defender. LeBron's a good defender. Jay Crowder is a good defender. Why do you need 4 perimeter defenders when you can have? It should have been D Rose, D Wade, LeBron, K-Love, and Double T. That way you have the perfect balance of interior defense, mid-level defense towards the free throw line, and then also perimeter defense, and then you also have the scoring ability from, K-Love, LeBron, D-Wade, and Derrick Rose. Now, when Isaiah Thomas comes back, you have the flexibility of having IT. I still think Dwayne Wade should be starting, but the Cavaliers are flourishing right now, so they're doing the thing. But anyway, IT, J.R. Smith, LeBron, Kevin Love, Double T. Obviously, Double T's injured. And then you have Derrick Rose coming off the bench, Dwayne Wade coming off the bench, Jay Crowder, Kyle Korver's doing his thing, Channing Frye's doing his thing. So this team, they're set to win the NBA championship. They're right on their way. This is the most help LeBron has had in his entire career. Not in terms of superstar help, because in terms of superstar help, that was 2010, 2011, his first year in Miami, in which LeBron himself ruined by choking in the finals. But that's all good. He's still the greatest of all time. But he had the most help in Miami with Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade, both in their prime. Dwayne Wade averaging 25.5, Chris Bosh averaging 20. Now, Chris Bosh could have averaged 30. It's just he was playing the third option or whatever. But that's besides the point. The point is that he has in terms of totality, this is the most help LeBron has ever had. And Derrick Rose is in a position where this is the best team he's ever had in terms of totality and balance. And LeBron is the second best player he's ever played with, obviously. I mean, excuse me. He's the best player D Rose has ever played with. I was going to say LeBron is the second superstar Derrick Rose has ever played with, because obviously Carmelo, Derrick Rose played with him last year. But the thing is, people are going to say, how are you going to say that LeBron is better than Melo? That's not what I'm saying. Oh, wait. LeBron is better than Melo. I keep screwing up. Oh my goodness. Anyway, so this is the most help Derrick Rose has ever had with this team, in the NBA in general. Okay, he has the balance, the flexibility. Yeah, he's coming off the bench, and you may look at it from like a downside, but from the upside is, would you be willing to sacrifice and come off the bench to win an NBA championship like Andre Iguodala did? Now, Derrick Rose, in terms of heroism and just status, is on a whole nother planet than Andre Iguodala. And it's not to knock Andre Iggy, because he was an all-star at one point in time and a really good wing player for the Philadelphia 76ers at one point in time, but Derrick Rose was the youngest MVP in the league history at one point in time, going up against LeBron, Wade, and Bosh. Remember that layup he had on LeBron and Wade, where he was like, they were both trying to swat him, because they're both really great defenders, trying to swat him from behind, and he went like up and then came up on the other side, up and under on the other side. It was ridiculous. But if you're willing to sacrifice and win that NBA championship, why not? Why not do it? You're still getting paid. It may not be 30, 25, 18, 20 million like you used to, but what is he getting, like a couple million? You still, come on. You know what I'm saying? Who wouldn't do that, But I can understand his point of view as well. You never know what someone's going through, like, for example, Lincoln Park. I know this has nothing to do with basketball, but in terms of you never know what someone's going through. Chester Bennington, I looked up to this man. And out of nowhere, July 20th, he ends his own life. And, he seemed happy. He's releasing his new album, One More Light. He performed literally 2 days before. And the night he killed himself, he uploaded an Instagram post of a video of him playing with his friends. And then, it's crazy. You never know what someone's going through, man. You never know. So he could be going through something with his family or something emotional. You just never know. So it's so easy to judge and say, oh, I would take the money here. I would do this. But until you're in that position and you understand, oh my goodness, this dude's going through something tough. You know what I'm saying? So you never know. But in my personal opinion, I would feel happy either way, because either way, he still had a better career than 99% of NBA players to ever play basketball. The dude was an MVP. He challenged LeBron, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh all in their prime. He did his thing. He played with some of the greatest players ever. He's played with LeBron. He's playing with Dwayne Wade. He's played with Carmelo. He's played against, Chris Bosh, against Kobe, against Kevin Durant. So he's had a great career. And if he were to say, you know what, I think it's time for me to step out, you can hate on the man as much as you want, but at the same time, you have to say, you know what? I don't only appreciate him for what he did for the NBA. I also, because I'll get to that in a second, but I also respect it. You got to respect his decision. But back to the appreciation thing. A lot of people don't realize that Derrick Rose was the beginning of this dominant point guard era. Now, a lot of people forget that from, I would say, 2000, I would say right around 2004 or 5, right when Shaq left Kobe. And then you saw Dwayne Wade win the championship, and you saw Kobe start to drop 50 points in 5 straight games and 81 points and, do his thing. And then you saw LeBron and Carmelo get drafted. And obviously D. Wade wins the finals MVP in his 3rd year, wins the championship, hits a game winner against Baron Davis, his first time in the playoffs. LeBron's hitting game winners against Gilbert Arenas, knocking him on the shoulder, saying, look, if you miss, you're going to lose this game, And then we have Kevin Durant come along, and Michael Redd was in this era, Tracy McGrady, Vince Carter, VC3, So that whole era was dominant for a good decade. And then 2011 comes along, 2010, 2011, and then this little 6'3" dude that has the athleticism of LeBron and Dwayne Wade combined in a smaller package. And I think Stephen A. Smith said this so perfectly. He's like what did he say? He's something like a truck engine in a small Mini Cooper or something like that. The body couldn't handle it. The athleticism, which is it's a shame, because this dude could have been like really a top 15, 20 player of all time, not maybe even top 10 the way he was playing. But that's besides the point. Back to, what was I talking about, man? I always get sidetracked with what I was trying to say. Okay, the point guard era. And then this little 6'3" dude comes along, wins the MVP, and then you see the point guards start to rise up. I mean, we always had Chris Paul, Steve Nash's, and players like that, Darren Williams, but they weren't really like LeBrons, Melos, Kobe's, T-Macs, Wade's, Then Derrick Rose comes along. Then we start to see the emergence of, a couple years later, the Stephen Currys, the Russell Westbrooks, the Dame Dollars, the John Walls, who was there before most of those. I think he got drafted the same year as Derrick Rose did. And then, your John Walls. He was the spawn of the point guard era. So he really changed the league, and a lot of people don't realize that, and it's a shame that they don't. But Derrick Rose was the beginning of this whole point guard dominant era in which we're seeing right now. I mean, LeBron, KD, Carmelo, they're still like the faces of the league. Kawhi, but I mean, let's be real. Stephen Curry, what he's been doing the last 3-4 years is ridiculous. Russell Westbrook, John Wall, Dame Dollar. Derrick Rose is the reason behind why the point guards even emerged the way they emerged in terms of being able to score and all this other crap. Because before it was like, okay, you're a point guard, pass the ball. Be a floor general. Be like, a Darren Williams. Yeah, you can give 20 to 22 points per game, just like Darren Williams, Chris Paul, Steve Nash, but you also have to give 10 to 12 assists, and it's like, now, give me 30, but also give me, 10 assists with 5 rebounds and play defense. It's crazy, and Derrick Rose started that, so I have a whole bunch of respect for the man. Great player. Hopefully he'll make the Hall of Fame one day, because I really think I think his impact is greater than most people realize, which is a shame. But either way, he wants to come back to Cleveland. Is a good thing. Hopefully he can, they can win the NBA championship. That would be great. And Derrick Rose, man, you have my support. I wasn't really a fan of you until I saw you play for like 70 games with my New York Knicks. And then I was like, okay, wow, the heart. I mean, this dude, as the third option, was averaging 18 points per game. People don't realize this. He's the third option on the Knicks, and he was averaging 18 points per game behind Carmelo Anthony, one of the greatest scorers of all time, and Kristaps Porzingis, a young, developing superstar. Okay? And now he's like, what? LeBron, D-Wade, K-Love. He's like the fourth option, and he's still doing his thing. Could you imagine if he was still the number one option? He would be averaging like 25 to 30 points still. And when he was healthy before, he was playing behind Jimmy Butler because of all the injuries. So could you imagine if the man was the number one option on the team? He'd be doing like what, maybe not in terms of winning and success, because I've seen him shut down Paul George. Now let me not even, because I'll talk here for 20 minutes about this man, Paul George, and how overrated this guy is. But it's whatever. He's the reason why they're losing, believe it or not. Even though he's the most efficient, quote unquote, which he is. He's not a terrible player, but it doesn't make sense that he's playing more minutes than Russell Westbrook, or Melo. But that's besides the point. Derrick Rose, you're a beast. I respect all your decision. And I appreciate you, and more people need to appreciate Derrick Rose, because that man is an absolute monster. Been talking for 13 minutes. Let me stop. By the way, I go back to New York on Friday. Been your man, Steve. Yeah. I'm out. Peace.